So and the eggs themselves are just 50-50 butter, cream, and 2 farm eggs. The sauce itself is just very simple, so we do a simply seasoned 7 to 8 escargots out of shell with a little bit of salt and pepper. Just throw them right in the pan with a little bit of garlic, parsley, and butter. This dish is pretty popular. We pretty much get almost every table gets one.
The snail farming came about just a realization that there was a gap in the market. I was a chef full-time back in 2013 and wanted to put snails on my menu. And at the time I was taking a lot of care to source my ingredients locally and ethically and responsibly and make sure they were, the best that they could possibly be. And I wanted to do a snail dish, an escargot dish. And so I started looking to see if I could find some snails for this dish, and all I could find were canned or frozen snails. All of it, canned and frozen, were both coming from Europe or Asia. So I couldn't even find a canned product from the US. And I said, that can't be right. So the search kind of took me, I reached out to a bunch of chef friends. Do you guys know of anyone, doing this, raising snails in the US? Where can I get fresh escargot? I don't want to use a canned product. I don't want to use a frozen product. That doesn't make any sense. And I exhausted all my sources and realized there was no one doing this here in this country. And so I had asked another chef friend, do you know of anyone in the US raising these snails? And he jokingly said, no, you should do it yourself. You should, build a snail farm. So this is our Peconic escargot, all right? It's the Peconic escargot raised in Cutchogue, served with a little bit of the snail caviar. There's a little bit of bourguignon butter, parsnip puree, onion jam, and some brioche. And I would just recommend kind of squeezing that lemon over the top. All right, enjoy. We are the only USDA certified snail farm in the country. We got our approval from them in 2015, and we work closely with them on all the things that keep the local agriculture safe, because they are an invasive pest that could do a lot of damage to the surrounding agriculture. Once we had the snails, it was a whole new process of figuring out how to raise them inside of a greenhouse. There's very little information already on just raising snails in general. A lot of the farms in Europe aren't interested in talking necessarily about their techniques and methods. There's really no one here in the US doing it, so we kind of had to figure it out as we went. The greenhouse, right now we probably have about 70,000 snails in there. It could probably, it kind of maxes out around 100,000. These are the petit gris escargot, corneospersum, little gray snail. This is what we raise here at Peconic escargot. The flavor of the snails is affected depending on what you feed them, and for that reason we're very careful with what we're finishing them on, because we know it's going to become a prominent flavor profile in the finished product. So we're literally kind of the last 2 weeks of their life seasoning them from the inside out, but more often than not it's herbs that would be more palatable to a human interest. So things like basil, parsley, tarragon, mint. So they'll eat this entire pin of greenery until it's gone, and they only eat. They don't drink water. So all the water that they bring in is just absorbed through their skin, which is why it's really important to keep them misted with water. So the humidity inside the greenhouse is very important. Almost on a daily basis, certainly through the summer, we're coming in here and we're spraying them down with water. They're voracious eaters, which is why, if they got out into the wild, they can be so dangerous. They'll eat entire fields of plants in a matter of days. So this would be an example of what we'd call like a nursery pen. These are smaller snails. These are like 1 to 2 months old. and they just kind of need a different sort of feed. So instead of all the greens, we supplement with greens, but they really just need more protein and more calcium than a snail that's a little bit farther along in the development process. So a lot of this was, you know, a shot in the dark for a while.
The dish we're preparing today is peconic snails. We're making it with a garlic cream, parsley puree, parsley oil, pea shoots, and snail caviar. It's like that they're local and fresh. I mean, our only really option is with the canned, industrially produced French import snail. It's the same as it is everywhere.
So these white little pearls, these are the snail eggs, and then, or roe. We would then take these, pull them out, rinse them off very well, and then cure them in salt. And that would be what we'd pack as our snail caviar. It's a really unique product. They're bright white pearls, and you can kind of roll them around in your mouth a little bit like tapioca. And when they do burst and pop, they're salty because we've cured them, but they also have the most amazing flavor of mushroom and earth, carrots, you get a lot of herbs. So it's kind of almost the exact opposite of seafood caviar.
Wow. Wow.
Getting people to try snails for the first time is a big, part of our business because we are living in America and it's not something that people have been eating here for years and years like they have in other countries. I have made the switch from full-time chef to full-time farmer. I still do some cooking at our pop-up, Paw Paw, but most of my time is spent with the snails and it has been very relaxing. The kitchen is a stressful, hot, chaotic place. And so to kind of go from that to a very quiet greenhouse in the country with just me and the snails that aren't making any noises, it's been wonderful. What I love about snail farming, I think, is seeing the entire process. Being full-time chef, I was only kind of catching the product at its end stage, the very end of it, where it was coming to me maybe from a farmer, and I was preparing it and sending it out to be eaten. With this, you're literally seeing life, being born. You're seeing these snails hatching and growing and getting bigger. You're taking care of them, you're making sure they're healthy and they're happy, and then you're creating a product, really quality, something you can, that I'm proud of, and then kind of passing it off along to the chef.